Good morning and happy Friday to you. If Jeff Ketchum is here sitting in, and as he waves to the crowd as he's in the beauty pageant, Jeff, and as you wave to your kids, that's actually the teachers today, Jeff, as they wave goodbye to the kids and say, "See you in August." Those kids are yours. Ketch and I, we got a fun one for you today, because ESPN recently came out with an article basically ranking the quarterbacks, all 136 FBS quarterback situations heading into 2025 season. And Catch, I thought it might be a fun thing for you and I to discuss, because it was really interesting to see where certain guys landed. And if you want, I could put the graphic on the screen, Catch, to set it up, or we can have a general conversation beforehand. What are your thoughts?
I mean, let's just jump right into it. Feel free to put that thing up there. I know when I first saw the list, I have all kinds of thoughts. So,
okay,
when we first talked, I didn't know this was exactly what we were going to do. I thought it was going to be more just centric on a couple of guys, but I am absolutely I haven't had a chance to react publicly to this arrangement of lists. Go ahead and put it up, because my first thought is this is not a quarterback year where one of the things I want us to do in a little bit, do a one-word association with each of these quarterbacks. I wonder how we would each describe them. But when I look at this list, none of these dudes are really like the other. I don't know how you do a list with Cade Klubnik and then you put John Mateer on that list. I do not know in what world where one guy is a projected high-level first-round NFL quarterback, threw for nearly 40 touchdown passes in the ACC a year ago, ACC champion. And I look at a guy like Mateer, who against Power 4 conference teams a year ago, as hard as we are on Quinn Ewers, do you know what he's not? He's not a sub 50% completion guy. But when Mateer plays the likes of Texas Tech and Illinois or whoever the hell it was that he played last year from the Power 4 schools, he was a sub 50% completion guy. And even at the end of the season against a team like Wyoming, which I think won 3 games last year, at home, season finale, final game in a Washington State Cougars uniform, they lost like 15-14. It's like, this guy's not the same as that guy. No, there's nobody, not even John Mateer's parents would take him over Cade Klubnik in a draft if it was about, who do you want? We're picking teams. We're going to go play in the Sandlot. Who wants to? No one's taking Klubnik. And I think it's embarrassing that Drew Aller's on that list. I think it's hilarious that Carson Beck is on a tier with DJ Lagway and Arch Manning.
Was Lagway a 5-star coming out? Yes.
Number 1 quarterback in the country. Yes.
Okay.
So, because Arch and Lagway are future first-round guys if they hit the way everybody thinks they can hit.
Yes.
And that's not what Carson Beck is. And so it's curious to me that, again, I do lists and I know how hard it is. You end up in situations where on some level there's nothing that you can do. It's just, you're not going to make anybody happy. So I think maybe doing a list like this, maybe they weren't comfortable with having a tier. Put the list back up, Anwar.
Yeah, gotcha.
Let's this pool of guys.
Okay.
Give me your top tier. Your top tier right now is how many guys and who?
If I did, I've only
I've only have Klubnik, Nussmeier, and I might throw Sellers in there. I'd consider him, Catch. Like I would consider him my top 3. Everybody else, the Mateer and Aller, it's not on my list. Okay, those to me right now, those two, Sellers and Nussmeier are probably the top quarterbacks in the SEC coming into this season, right? And maybe Nussmeier's number 1. I'm not saying how it's going to finish, right? But those are my top. At that point, that's my top. That's my tier 1. My tier 1B. I'm down with Lagway. He had some injuries, so I'm down with Lagway. I'm down with Arch. I don't even know about Carson Beck, Catch, because Carson Beck is this guy who, maybe just some bias here, but Carson Beck, for all the conversations we've had about Quinn, we've never seen Quinn throw multiple interceptions in a game and look that bad. Now you may
look. I think this is the part of the conversation where it's like, look, if we're gonna have the conversations that we've had about Quinn for the last couple of years, where Quinn Quinn's level of play gets to speak for itself, then we have to hold these dudes to the same standard. We have to be able to say, this guy's not even Quinn. And we know what we say about Quinn. We know where the NFL drafted him. And I think on some level you have to go, okay, is this guy even hitting the Quinn Ewers mark?
He threw 3 interceptions against Alabama, Catch.
Look, Drew Aller does not deserve to be spoken in the same breath with Quinn Ewers.
Yeah.
And you guys know I'm not wearing a cape for Quinn day in and day out. But you know what? Next to a guy like Drew Aller, give me a break. Give me a break. Drew Aller's never gone to Tuscaloosa and won a game the way Texas won that game. Drew Aller's waiting to win the first game in his life that ranks in the top 4 or 5 games that Quinn Ewers has won as a college starting quarterback. I think these are my tiers. There's one guy on tier 1. It's Cade Klubnik. I can't put any of those other dudes. I just can't. Now, my tier 2 is different than yours.
Okay.
It's Lagway and Manning by themselves.
Okay.
They are the 2 guys.
You don't have Sellers in a tier 2.
No, not with those guys. Both of those guys, if they hit, can be the best quarterback in the country next year. If it comes together, either one of those guys individually, it's not a surprise. It won't be a surprise to me at all if the Manning Award or whatever the Warfel Award or whatever the quarterbacks awards are, the Davey O'Brien. Wouldn't surprise me if the 3 finalists are Klubnik, Manning, Lagway. Those are the 3 best quarterbacks in college football if it all comes together. I think what's interesting is now if we go down below a tier below that, I think where you and I are on the same page, I'm probably putting Sellers and Nussmeier on a tier, and I can't put the other guys on those tiers. If we're drafting teams, can you put the thing back up real quick?
Yeah, I got it.
Because here's what I want to do now, because I think this is really interesting. We're going to go one word association for each of these guys.
Okay.
So when I say Cade Klubnik, what's your word?
Baller.
For me, emerging.
Emerging. Interesting. He checks the boxes.
Yes, but I think we're watching him in real time.
Well,
make the surge. So,
Catch. Their coach was talking about Klubnik just a couple of months ago, and he said, he talked about how it switched. He said going into the season. Last season, people were questioning Cade and, should he be the number 1 guy? And is he worth all the hype, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, and now you guys are talking about him as a potential overall pick, right? His whole thing was calm down. That's what his whole thing was. But I'm with you.
Like, I don't think we've seen. I think the game in Austin was the scratching of the surface. I think he now is like, oh, it gets to be a point where like Anakin Skywalker uses the lightsaber for the first time, like really uses it.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh shit, like I can do that. And then you feel different about walking the streets of whatever galaxy in the first time. And I think Kate Klubnik had that in that moment against Texas, where even a week later, the Texas players were like, man, we're not even mad about how we played in that game. That dude just made some throws. Like, tip your cap to that dude. And it was like, okay. Don't often see college players take a pro player mentality where it's like, hey, man, you realize that's Tom Brady over there.
Yeah.
You know, he's good, man. Like sometimes he just makes a better throw than you are better in coverage. I think so. One word association, Garrett Nussmeier.
I'm trying to think of the word.
You want me to go first?
You go first, because I'm trying to think of one word that qualifies what I want to say. Go ahead for it.
I want to hyphenate this, but I'm not. I'm just going to say it. Talented.
Yeah. I want to say something like hype. Because everybody's telling us he might be the number 1 overall pick after this season. Like that's what everyone's telling us. And so, did he have some games like, yeah, I mean, he had a 3 interception game against Texas A&M last season as well. I mean, they did beat Ole Miss. He had 2 interceptions in that game. But it's one of these things they'll catch. Everyone's saying it. And it's interesting, Catch, because you talk about certain things, and we talk about Quinn, and maybe he's not on the same level, but in a loss against Alabama last season, Catch, he had a quarterback rating of 110.4. In a loss against Florida, he had a quarterback rating of 110.9. Okay, so we've seen some highs from him. And by the way, I'll do this, Catch. 3 losses: A&M, Alabama, Florida, 3 straight weeks. Okay, quarterback rating against A&M in that loss, 119.2. Alabama, 110.9. And then Florida, Alabama's 110, Florida's 110.
Dude, he looks pretty when he throws the football.
Sure.
But you're not wrong. Like that's the thing is, if you tell me that guy ends up being a first-round draft pick as a quarterback, I see it.
Mm-hmm.
If you tell me that guy goes pro and all 32 teams have fan bases that are like, please don't let my team be the team that drafts that guy, I get that too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Like he's the ultimate. We're waiting on the light switch to flick on guy. That's why. But like, I can remember games where he wasn't even good, but he'll have flashes. He'll have little Quinn Ewers flashes where for a quarter you go, oh, it can be like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then another quarter will go by and you're like, come on, do that other thing again. And it doesn't quite happen every play, quarter by quarter, game by game. But he's on that list. Talent. That's it. Talent alone. Because as you have outlined, it ain't because he's been playing real well against good teams.
Mm-hmm.
All right. John Mateer. And really, can we just call like this quarterback room tier lists? Get the fuck out. Like, it so doesn't matter the names below the margins that we literally haven't said Christopher Vizina's name or Michael Van Buren Jr. I feel like that's code for I can't come out and just say the damn thing. So I'm putting all of the names in there.
Yeah, correct.
Why is Matthew Caldwell's name on that list? You didn't do that. Tyler did not do that.
No, that's ESPN. ESPN came out with their tiers of quarterback rooms. And so they listed each quarterback in the room.
So anyway, John Mateer, I have my word. Do you have a word for John Mateer?
Overhyped.
It's not a bad one. Mine, I'm somewhat saving that particular word for potentially another guy, but I might change it up now. For me, it's just Dunno. Dunno. I don't know. Look, I could say improvement because I do think OU has upgraded at the quarterback position. I do think he's better right now than Jackson Arnold was a year ago. But I don't know that if you ask me today, would I rather roll with Jackson Arnold with a good quarterback and a good offense, good system, getting the most out of that guy versus Mateer? I might still take Jackson Arnold. My thing about Mateer is I can't ignore when this guy plays against the type of athletes that he'll be playing against every week for Oklahoma. As a passer, in the SEC, you can't be like a little quarterback who's a mid-level athlete and be like, I'm going to make my hay running they're going to kill you.
Yeah.
This is not the NFL, but it ain't the Big 12. There are bigger dudes running at higher velocities, and when they hit dudes that shouldn't be running around like they, got it like that. I worry about that guy. We always talk about Texas quarterbacks playing 12 games. Those types of, I don't think this guy's a good enough thrower of the football to be able to do anything but use his legs. And I don't think he's a good enough athlete to make it in the SEC as a high-level scrambling quarterback. I think he's kind of a poor man's Diego Pavia because I don't think he's as good at throwing the football as Pavia is, if I'm being completely honest. Having seen Pavia play against legit teams a year ago, we know he can beat Alabama. I don't know if this dude can play against Alabama. So I just don't know. I don't know what he is. I don't know what they're expecting of him. I don't know. So he's Dunno for me. Because I don't even know what it means if he is better. What around him is better? I don't know. So all of that is a Dunno. Drew Aller.
Oh, if you give me it, can I use a hyphen? Because if not, I've got another one word that would just be just as good.
Go for it.
If it's just one word, I'll just call him Uber. Instead of calling him a bus driver, he's just your Uber driver. He's not the guy, Catch. When you look up anything from last season, he's not the guy that you said was the difference and the reason why Penn State had that kind of success that they had. I mean, he finished his last season with a 153.5 passer rating, Catch. 24 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. There's nothing special.
He is such a jag. That's my word. He's a jag.
Okay.
I am disgusted that this guy gets talked about at levels that he gets talked about at. He does not deserve to be mentioned anywhere near the same breath as Quinn Ewers. He just doesn't. And we know that Quinn Ewers at the end of his career didn't belong on a tier 1 top of the class quarterback list in college football. Drew Aller wears Quinn Ewers' underwear to bed. And I just, again, when I looked at this, I'm like, we're trying too hard for discussion, if this is what we're doing. We're calling these things the same thing. And at some point, man, what Drew Aller needs to hear is what he's doing isn't good enough. That's what that guy needs to have his buttons pushed, because he is the reason Penn State hasn't gone further than they have. That was a national championship caliber team last year, but you know what they didn't have? Good quarterback play in the biggest moments.
Yeah, how about against Notre Dame in the semifinals, Catch? He completes 12 of 23 passes for 135 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception, and a passer rating of 92.8.
Dude, I'm telling you, this is where I have a high bar for excellence, right? And I think I obviously applied it to Quinn, and when he didn't hit it, it would sound like, oh man, Ketch is just beating up on Quinn. Like Quinn was okay. And it would be like, yeah, what he was okay, but we're talking about like higher levels of target that we're trying to achieve. Drew Aller has so far to go to become Quinn Ewers. Yeah. And Quinn Ewers is a guy that we know good enough to take a team to two straight national semifinals, but was he ever quite good enough to win a big quarterback head-to-head matchup and in a big game be the best player on the field in those biggest moments in both the ends of the seasons? He wasn't that, but Drew Aller's not – I wouldn't trust Drew Aller in the Arizona State game situation that Quinn was in.
I wouldn't trust him. Ketch, would you trust him if he had to go against Penix and at least keep it close?
I don't trust Drew Aller at all. He's a jag.
Okay.
He is not worthy of us including in this conversation.
Okay.
Not. Right. And the next guy, I think rightfully is, but Drew Aller is not. So I won't beat up Drew Aller. Never did anything to anybody in my family. So I'll move off of Drew Aller. But the discussion around him this preseason does my head in. I do not get it. One word association: LaNorris Sellers.
Maybe. That's my word for him. Maybe. I mean, maybe. First of all, I like Beamer. So there's I will admit it's a personal bias. It does probably have a lot to do. Catch, the story, because he does know me and he likes me. So I will have to admit there's a little bias there. But I like South Carolina as a team. They're a really gritty team. And he's a maybe for me. He's a guy that's coming into the season with a lot of hype, a lot of promises, a lot of things that he could be. There were times he looked, good, but he never looked great. He's a maybe for me, Catch, but he's not a guy that I look at and say, I'm expecting him to be the second coming of whoever. Did you drop off, Catch?
No. I'm gathering my my thoughts. I am going to use my one-word association: ascending. I think by the end of the last season, LaNorris Sellers was as good as any quarterback in the SEC. South Carolina had turned into a team that nobody really wanted to play. I think they would have been a dangerous playoff team. Now, in the end, they lose that game. They lose to Clemson. Things just got kind of turned on their head and they lost too many games. But South Carolina, they were frisky, man. Nobody would want to caught them in a 12-game or 12-team playoff.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's getting better. I think like Cade Klubnik at the end of last season, LaNorris Sellers was a guy that was starting to figure it out. And I think that I would take him fourth on the list after Klubnik. And then there's a Manning Lagway tier. And if I'm taking all of the other guys, I'm taking Sellers next. I'd rather have Sellers as my, because he's got a little bit, you know who he is? He's the guy that Texas A&M wishes their guy was, Marcel Harris.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the guy that I think Oklahoma wishes Michael Hawkins Jr. was. This guy's looks, he doesn't wow you in his uniform. He kind of looks a little skinny. He doesn't look like the fastest guy, but he's athletic. He's got some junkyard dog in him inside that skinny little package that sometimes makes him look a little odd. But that guy's got the heart of like a 240-pound Tim Tebow. It just comes in a different physical package. But I love the guy's heart. And once we get past who are the really good players and who would you want to draft on your team first, it kind of becomes a question now of like, who would you want to quarterback your team?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he's the best NFL prospect. I don't know. I don't know how to compare him with a guy like Garrett Nussmeier, other than to say, if we were going to go play 11 on 11 anywhere, in the street, on grass, on turf, in a coal mine, I'll take Lenore Sellers, and he can be my guy, and you can have the rest of these dudes. That's how I feel about this list once we get past Club Nick Manning and Lagway.
I mean, look, Catch, we watched an NFL draft where we saw a guy get drafted at the quarterback position from schools that we were like, oh, they had a quarterback? So I would say all these guys, if you think of all these guys who were drafted ahead of Quinn, well, then Sellers is an NFL prospect then at that point.
Yeah, he's just one of these true run dual threat guys that as long as in college football, they'll use code words for him like, oh, he's got to continue to develop as a passer, and like they all don't. But he's a little bit more instinctually a runner, and he's just got to harness those tools that he has. But I'm telling you, man, like that guy can quarterback my team. Like he has the Tom Herman alpha quality of him that, I'll go play for that guy. That guy leaves it all on the field. His teammates play for him. He is good. And what he really needs ultimately is just more game time to become the guy that I think he can become. But South Carolina is dangerous in the SEC, I think, because nobody really wants to play them. Mm-hmm. Really. Nobody wants a piece of South Carolina if they don't have to play them.
Yeah. You want to do that? You want to do that for the last three?
The last three are easy. Lagway.
I go promising with Lagway. That's my thought on him. Very promising of what he could be, when he's healthy.
I'm going to go hyphenated on this one, and I'll just say first day or day one. This is what he is. That's the talent level that he's working with. He's just not that as a player yet, but he's going to end up there. So it's a matter of when, and I think the same thing applies to Arch. It's This is who they are. It's only a matter of how long it takes for them to hit that level. And, I expect both of these guys to be, one of these two guys will be first team all SEC. The other will be second team. And the guy that, if Manning is if Manning is either first or second team all SEC, Texas is playing for the SEC championship game and probably winning it if he's that good.
Mm-hmm.
Because they got that far last year, and that's not what they really had at quarterback. But it was a league last year in the SEC where the quarterback position kind of petered out everywhere. Georgia didn't get what they thought they were going to get. Alabama didn't get what they thought they were going to get. Oklahoma, one by one, everybody was a little bit more disappointing at quarterback, maybe other than South Carolina with their quarterback play. Nussmeier, they would have wanted more than what they got, even if he was okay. So what's your one word for Carson Beck?
I decided to be nice because what I was going to say was not nice. So I decided that's not, I'm just going to call it's just word simple, meh.
I was going to go meh for Aller.
Mm-hmm.
And then they got personal for some reason, and I let him have
it. Somewhere, there's someone from Penn State that's going to play this in a meeting room from Drew Aller, and he's going to be like, look at what they're saying about it.
What did I say? This is what he needs to hear.
Yeah.
Because he's not close. Okay.
Yeah.
Mid.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's kind of like when you talk about Quinn. In hindsight, Quinn should have gone and transferred somewhere else and played, right? I mean, in hindsight, you would have nowhere to go. But
knowing everything that we know now, yes.
And Carson Beck is a guy. Carson Beck is a guy, Catch, who, when he gets hurt, you hear Georgia people saying we had a breath of life when we had this backup come in, who you've shown from a statistical standpoint wasn't that great. But when he comes in, all of a sudden everyone's like, "Oh my God, we have so much energy." And Carson Beck's a guy that, when I had someone on, one of my guests there was talking about how, like, he basically was doing his own thing. He wasn't checking in with the medical staff, and he had his own doctor.
He got a girlfriend. Women will change a guy sometimes.
Yeah.
And when you're like a mid-level guy and suddenly you're dating tens, it'll mess you up.
Yeah.
It will. You'll start, what you do? You start thinking you're her because you're with her.
Mm-hmm.
So you're like, when she goes out, what happens? She ain't paying for anything. Everybody's buying her stuff. She's the star. And I think what happened to him is he got a little bit of that in his head. Like, I thought he showed up at SEC Media Day, and I was like, I was in real time. I was like, I don't get the Carson Beck thing, but he definitely showed up like he was that dude. I think.
But when you get that new, I mean, yeah, you all of a sudden you start feeling yourself. Like, guys start dating someone, and all of a sudden they start dressing different.
Hey, the first time I had sex with a woman, you know what happened to me?
What?
I was like, that was awesome. I should do more of that. Like, so I had sex, first time, high school, all that stuff. What does the girl say? I love you. I want to do everything I can for you. What can I do to be awesome for you? And I was like, I need more women in my life. All it took was one time, and I was like, I'm the man. All these women need to be dating me. I think that's what happened to Carson Beck.
Yeah.
I think he just, and maybe that's what he needed. Because I do think Carson Beck's good enough that he can bus drive at a high level. If you told me he got Miami into the playoffs, if Miami goes 10-2, wins the ACC, I don't know that I'd go that far, but like I don't think he's a bum. I just think he's kind of mid. And he was being talked about last year like Drew Aller on tier 1. It was like, well, no. Nobody really thinks he's that guy.
Yeah.
But we can be respectful and put him on the right tier and recognize him. I mean, I think he's better than Drew Aller. If I was Penn State, if I was James Franklin, and someone said, man, you can trade Drew Aller for Carson Beck straight up right now, I wouldn't even let him finish the sentence. I'd be like, done. Shake off. No take backs. No take backs. That's what I would do. I might think he's mid, but I do think he is a proven winner. He has.
Is Oklahoma a better team if he's on their team?
I think so.
Yeah, me too.
I think so. It's close. I don't know what Oklahoma does if Mateer's just okay. And the thing I also don't know about Oklahoma is that the wide receiver talent there. I think a year ago, if their wide receivers talent's healthy, you've got Nick Anderson, you've got some of those badass dudes that had been recruited that were really, really good. If they stay healthy and they've got Beck, OU has a better season. They're much more competitive. Mm-hmm. But I don't know what I would think of Carson Beck at Oklahoma now, where we look at the wide receiver position and it's like, hey, their best guy went to Arkansas Pine Bluff, right? No, he's the best guy, but he's hurt. It's another dude. I don't remember where he went to school. I don't know what I would do with Carson Beck in that situation. So I think at Miami, they're going to give him good players. He'll have a talent advantage in most of the games that he plays in. That's where he needs to be. If you're going to ask him to win games for you because he's the best player on your offense, that's where you get into trouble. And at times last year, that's what because Georgia's offensive talent was down from where it is typically at. I think that's what we saw, was that the pressure on him to be a creator and to do more was just something he wasn't ready to manage. And I think Miami will be a better situation for him. I don't think we'll have to play against the talent in the SEC. And, but yeah, I think he's mid, but like, you know who he is? He's the guy in the NFL you want as your backup quarterback.
Yeah.
He wouldn't be a threat to the starter.
Correct.
But if he got hurt in the national championship game, he'd be like, okay, well, this is why we have Carson Beck, because he quarterbacked all these games. And so I think it's interesting. Like, he's a guy that I could find a lot of value for, and yet I'm dismissive of him in the context of the discussions that we were having with some of these other guys. Like DJ Lagway versus this guy is like a conversation we shouldn't be having. And we're not, I don't think, although apparently ESPN is.
All right, so we only got one more left on this list here, Catch, and that's Arch. I've got my word for it, and I like my word because I've had some time to think about it. All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
I'm going to go with electric. I like it. You know why I like it? Because he is a lightning bolt of conversation. He is a guy that Texas fans feel like at any time he touches the ball, he could run for a touchdown. He could pass for a touchdown. I look at him as electric, right? He comes into the game. Texas fans go crazy. I told you the story, Catch, where I think it was I don't know which game it was last year. And wherever it was, whatever moment we were in the game, and I felt like the game was over early last season, and I'm just kind of down typing, just doing my work, doing stuff, and it's like there should be no reason for a crowd reaction, and all of a sudden the crowd goes crazy, and I'm looking up like, what the hell did I miss? Because usually at this point we got backups in, and you know, if a backup running back runs for 50 yards, no one really cares. And I'm like, why is this place going crazy? And I'm looking. It's because Arch had came in the game. So I go electric.
I still haven't chosen. I'm having a hard time coming up with the word for him. I guess I'll just say next. I think it's his time. Of all these dudes out there, he's the only guy that I would even give pause for on a conversation with Klubnik. And I think Klubnik going into the season is a better player than Arch Manning because of all of the experience. But Arch has a little something to him that there's – I don't even want to say all the stuff that I'm thinking because it sounds hokey, but I think there's an it factor with him that he's wildly comfortable with. He's, of all of the guys, I think about how hard, I think Quinn Ewers has a hard time being in Quinn Ewers' own skin. Yeah. That it can't be an easy place to be. You have higher expectations for yourself than anybody else. And yet everybody else has insanely high expectations. You got this guy looking over your shoulder who everybody loves more than you. Everybody's got an opinion. I think it's a lot to be Quinn Ewers. Like, honestly, if I was just in a human being mode, sometimes I'd just like to give fucking Quinn Ewers a hug and be like, dude, I'm sorry. Life is hard. It is. Life is hard. And I think more than anybody else in college football in the last few years, Quinn probably knows that as much as anybody. Outside of like family members dying and losing relatives to war and just normal, like life's hard stuff. Quinn's had a bunch of it before like the age of 21. Arch has a lot of the same stuff. And he just seems so comfortable with it all.
Yeah.
There's no tension with him with any of this. There's almost an all shucks nature to the fact that he's a Manning. He's just really comfortable with the whole thing. And he's really good, and he's really smart, and he's way more physically talented than the people who rated him as a 5-star thought he was. He's actually the athlete and the athletic package that warrants that type of ranking. And oh, by the way, he does have Manning as a last name, but he has better physical tools than either Peyton or Eli had. I saw them both in high school. I was in the industry when they came around. I interviewed Eli in person. Like, I saw those dudes. I am old. I go back. Arch is better than those guys were physically talented than those two guys were.
Well, that's because his dad is Cooper.
Well, and also the thing, he's also been a part of like the football machine.
Sure.
That with he's just.
But genetically, Cooper was an SEC wide receiver, right?
He's like Ken Griffey Jr. You know what I mean? Like, he's the next one, but he's actually more talented than the dad who played like 30 years in Major League Baseball. It's like, I know it's hard to believe because all we've ever done is talk about Ken Griffey, but the junior kid, like, that might be the one 30 years from now. We might not talk about his dad at all. Arch is more physically talented. Like, Peyton needed 4 years and 5 years, and Eli needed 4 years. They weren't ready. They weren't this advanced yet. Go back and look at Peyton in his true freshman season at Tennessee, and he had an upside down touchdown to interception ratio. Like, it was. Yeah. That's why they didn't want him. That's why they didn't want Arch rushed. And, hey, Peyton, top 5 quarterback all time in the history of the NFL, right? Yes. Kind of sucked. It was sucked early on in college football, right? Yeah, man, that wasn't fun. Eli might be an NFL Hall of Famer, right? Not top 5, but maybe NFL Hall of Famer. You didn't come into college football and play right away, right? Yeah, I waited. It worked out for you, right? Yeah, I needed as much time as possible. You know, I think Arch is the one of the family that's probably more ready to play early than they were, and yet they still taking their time. He's just...
But Catch, can I tell you one thing to staying in that theme that's been communicated to me? Hey, Peyton, when you got to Indianapolis, how much fun was that? Well, that first year or so sucked, right? When I led the NFL in interceptions and everybody thought I was trash. Like, that wasn't really fun for me. Hey, Eli, how was that when you're first starting the first couple of years with the Giants? How much fun was that? Well, that kind of sucked when I was at the New York media was talking about how shitty of a quarterback I was. So they look at it and say, hey, how much fun are you having at Texas? Oh, man, I'm having a blast. I'm over here. I get to go to a basketball game, and I'm having all kinds of fun. I get to hang out with my friends. We go to Whataburger and everything. Like, I get to stay in downtown Austin. And they're saying, you enjoy that. Because did you know what your uncles went through as soon as they got there? It sucked. It became a job. And that job in the NFL is a crappy job. But if you could have fun as a kid, have fun. Catch, people forget. You and I know this. And I say forget. You and I know that there was a conversation of when Arch was going to go into his senior year, would he enroll early because he liked playing basketball on the basketball team? And the thought was, hey, if you just want to play basketball and come in like later in the year and come in the summer, you can do that. And there was a real conversation that really centered around him having fun playing for his high school basketball team that just won a state championship. So their mindset is different as far as, do we need to rush into this?
I've never said this before. I don't even think I've thought it before. So this is an Orange Bloods Live Friday morning original thought. He reminds me a lot of Chris Sims off the field as a guy. It never happened really until late for Chris on the field, but he was always the coolest guy on campus while he was on campus. And it was one of the real friction points between Applewhite and Sims is that Sims was like the Pied Piper, man. Wherever he was, everyone followed. He was the quintessential kind of cool white boy that everybody can follow, everybody. And there's not always a lot of those dudes where it's like, hey, man, where's Chris? And it felt like everything gravitated towards him. It felt like he was the unofficial ringleader of the band, but nobody ever had to say it, and nobody ever wanted to say it because it was like, oh, nobody hated Major. They just didn't want to hang with Major. And none of those dudes went to school because of Major. Where a guy like Roy Williams and some of these guys, they went to Texas to play with Chris Sims. But like off the field, he was always really comfortable in the fact that he was Chris Sims' kid and he was the number 1 overall quarterback. He handled all of that stuff actually incredibly gracefully. And it just never clicked for him on the field. And I think it's the thing that you wonder about Arch. Arch comes in, and I think pretty early on, it's like, okay, well, he's a good athlete. That's surprising. We talk all this basketball stuff, but he's actually really athletic, and he can run away from guys and make plays even at this level. And we got a bunch of fast dudes that are going to play in the NFL one day that he is just as athletic as. And so it's like, I feel like the speed of the game for Arch is something that he's adjusted to. And the speed of the game, and maybe it's the difference between playing in Louisiana your entire life in high school, even if it's at a private school, versus playing in New Jersey at a private school. Because Chris Sims, the whole time, eventually Chris Sims figured it out and became a starting quarterback in the NFL. But in his first 3 years at Texas, the speed of the game was too fast for him. He couldn't catch up to the pace. But as a human being and a guy that was comfortable in the place that he was in, Arch reminds me very much of Chris Sims, except I think his learning curve is more accelerated and has occurred faster. I think he'll be a better player than Chris Sims was. And again, Chris Sims ends up being a guy that ends up being good enough to be a starting quarterback on a playoff team, even if physically his body wasn't meant to last in the NFL forever. The NFL takes things from players, and sometimes that includes their spleens. So that's just the way that sport works. Sometimes you don't walk away with all.
By the way, I was there at that game. I was covering that game. I was there. And you know what's crazy? In Barb's 10, I'll get to your super chat, and we're going to wrap up. What's crazy is they really thought maybe like Chris might have been dehydrated on the sidelines.
Well, how would you know? Like, how could
you wouldn't know he's bleeding internally and about to die, right?
Hey, man, that looks like a dude with some bleeding organs in his guts. Like,
correct. Nobody knows. So I'm like, the thought process is, man, this dude needs some more Gatorade. Like, get this guy more Gatorade, and he literally has to have life-saving surgery. I've heard people, again, I was there at the game. I covered the Bucs at the game. I covered Chris Sims from the time he was drafted, the time he moved on. Like, I covered his career there. And the thought process, they were saying that operating room was a bloody mess. Like, that's how bad it was. I'm going to give to Barb's thing, and then I'm going to give you an idea, okay? Barb says, hey, this list is a definition of cockamamie. Props to Alex. You cannot pick out most of the dudes in the lineup. Put the pipe down, David. There's that. Hey, Catch, I got an idea for you for your noon show. Do you have an idea for a noon show yet?
Yeah, we were going to talk Aggies because Elko is out wilding at an A&M booster function yesterday.
Oh, yeah, they are having a bad calendar year. It's a bad calendar year. Well, I'll give you a if you're going to do Aggies, that's fine.
It's low line fruit. Chad
fine.
will want to talk to. You know what I mean? Like,
yes, it's easy. It's a good topic. Aggies are having, baseball, softball, football. You
and
name
Elko
it.
took one for the team. He was like, "Hey, man, baseball team and the softball team are getting just mugged right now. I got you. Just give me a day. I'll say some shit in Brassiswood or wherever the hell I'm going to be. And trust me, you guys won't be talking about the baseball and the softball teams. I got this." Elko's a hell of a team player. That's what they said about him. Hell of a team guy.
Well, I did an interview, guys, just so you know. I did an interview with Ari Wasserman that is going to run sometime next week. It may end up running on Monday because we haven't really done a great job of pre-recording stuff. So it may be your Monday content on the show. Hey, Catch, I just want you to, he did a playoff prediction, and this is a show idea for maybe sometime next week. But this was Ari's playoff prediction.
Oh, my God.
And he and I talked about this at length.
Oh, my God.
Ari, not only did he pick Texas to be the national champion, but he picked them by Texas beating Clemson in the national championship game, an Arch versus Klubnik game. Check out my interview with him next week. It's going to be on the channel and be in the video section. Again, it might be replaced Overreaction Monday when it's all said and done. But just know, Catch, that's a topic that's worth exploring at some point. Because if this thing, he not only does he predict Texas will be the 2026 national champion, but he also predicts it will occur against Clemson.
Now, the only thing that I wonder about, put it back up real quick, because I was trying to figure this out. They changed the rule yesterday with the seeding.
Yes.
So the way he has this seeding, he's given BYU the Big 12 spot and put them in the 4.
Yeah.
I think maybe Ohio State in that scenario becomes the 4, so maybe it doesn't change the bracket too much. We'd probably flip-flop. I don't know that BYU – so
here's was his top 25.
Okay.
So that was his top 25. So, yeah, there, Catch. And so you can see, yes, BYU being 12.
So he has his top 4, all the 4 teams in the semifinals.
Yeah.
But he has Penn State losing. Well, did you ask him why he's got?
Oh yeah, all of that, and that will be on the show.
Okay, well, I'll be watching because I'm curious why his number 1 team is the number 2 seed and loses in the semifinals and not in the national championship game. It might be his answer is that his answer rhymes with dub slub slick, but you know, it might be as simple as that. But I'll have to wait and see when that interview airs. All right, onward. I'm done.
No, it's good. Hey, good stuff. Hey, Catch, nearly 800 people here watching. So why don't we say nearly 1,000 people? Go ahead and hit that like button. And, it's subscribe to the channel if you have not done so. Subscribe because, Catch and I, we're not going to reveal it all. We got some really, really good changes to the channel that I think you guys are going to really love and really enjoy. We got some things that are on the horizon. So make sure you hit the subscribe button so you know when all our shows are coming. I think you guys are going to love what we're doing. And make sure you hit the like button. You know what Catch is going to be talking about at noon. Those Aggies. Oh, what do you got? How do you say poor Aggies, Catch? I've never been so good at it. Is it an emphasis on the O in the poor?
Yeah, it's like a poor Aggies.
Okay, so it's a lower level thing.
It's on the or.
Oh,
it's a long or at the end of poor.
Okay. So yes. So there's going to be a poor Aggies show that's coming up. The
Aggies are going to define college football. Anwar, why would it be poor Aggies? They, according to Mike Elko, they're about to start running shit.
Are they going to run it?
That's what he said.
Go, Mike, go. Go, Mike, go.
He ain't scared.
All right, Catch.
He doesn't know who his quarterback is, but he ain't scared.
All right, so Catch, I usually tell people, I close by telling them they need to do something nice for themselves. can't always wait for someone to do something nice for you. You should do something little for yourself each day, even if it means like treating yourself to a nice lunch, right? Or maybe go buy yourself a nice candle or something nice. Just it doesn't have to be grand. Maybe it's a little one, something for yourself. So Catch, over this weekend, what's one nice thing you're going to do for yourself? Just one night. It could be watching Premier League. It could be anything. Okay, now you got to think. You got to. That's your challenge.
The thing is, it's like I don't think beyond. I really am singularly focused. So like you and I are going to talk after this for a little bit. Like that's the only thing that's on my brain. And then it's like, well, now I got to call Chad. And then so I don't know. Like, what am I going to do this weekend?
Well, you need to. You think about it.
I will watch Liverpool.
Yeah.
Lift the trophy.
Yeah.
I'll do it again. Like I'll take this. I got Virgil van Dijk up there with the trophy, right? That is the Champions League trophy. I need to get one where he's lifting the Premier League trophy and get that painted and put on the wall. That's why I'll be treating myself to Liverpool celebrating, hoisting the trophy. It'd be a good day. I will treat myself to that.
I need to figure that. Well, that's your treat.
I have family. My birthday was last Friday, and they were like, "You're so hard to shop for. We don't know what to buy you." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
Liverpool just won a championship.
That's easiest. Low-lying fruit.
Buy me a team. Nobody bought me a Liverpool champion. If one person had just grabbed a low-lying fruit and been like, "Hey, has anybody seen Catch or Jeff with a Liverpool 2025 league champ?" No? Oh, I know what to get him. You know what? I would be serenading that person on the show right now. Be like,
Benji. Come on now. They're not better than Austin FC. Austin FC tapped that ass 3-1 this week. So no.
That did happen.
That did. They actually scored.
They scored 3 times
in bunches. That was like they met their monthly quota.
Here's what I would say to the Dynamo, who I like, by the way, because they hosted me as a guest back in 2016, 2017. Steven Gerrard was playing for the Galaxy, and they gave me a suite and let me do it was dope. I have nothing but love for the Dynamo. They've treated me well, but they let Austin FC score 3 goals. Yeah. And that is not – and I think they played 14 or 12 league games or something like that, and they've scored more than twice or more than one time.
Yeah.
In every other game, they've either scored 1 or 0.
Correct.
And Houston let them put 3 up on them in their crib this week in a cup game. And all I'm saying is you guys might need to want to do an inquisition on that, because that has not – you guys let something happen that has not been happening. And as an Austin FC fan, my reaction to that was not, oh, we're going to start scoring 3 goals a game now. It was more like, what the hell happened on Wednesday night?
Dude, you may not be able to see this, but this is young Max throwing the Dynamo's middle fingers.
Max is an ultra.
Oh, he's crazy. He's crazy. He takes off his shirt.
He's an ultra.
He is an introverted kid but he goes to these games and he fans out. So in the last day, it
breaks him when they lose, doesn't it?
He cries.
Oh man, I've been there. I know.
He cries.
You care so much, and you don't at 10, 11 years old know how to harness all of those feelings for your team. I've been there.
Yeah, Mike Torres sees him all the time, and he's like, he's very really into it. So I think I'll
Can I ask a quick Max soccer question?
Yeah.
What's the worst goalie howler that Max has had so far in his young career? Because that's the thing, right? Goalkeepers have to have short memories, and bad things are going to happen. Has he ever had the ball hit him in the face and went up over the net? Or what's the worst one he's had? Because I would have had a hard time being a goalie because I would have killed myself for errors.
There was one time. There's a couple. I got a couple. So there was one time he was asked last summer. He was asked to guest play in the Dallas Cup for the number 4 team in the nation, right? Number 4 team in the nation, and he finally gets in. I want to say it's like the second half. They have 2 keepers, and he finally gets in. Within a minute and a half, there's a routine ball that just bounces in front of him, and he kind of takes his eyes off of it, and it just goes past, and they score.
No!
And I'm like, so here we are, and I'm like, all these parents who came from Virginia, it was like SYC, and I'm like, Jesus Almighty, if they lose this game, if they lose this game because of Max, we're leaving. I'm checking out this Airbnb and we're leaving. Thank God they came back and won. But that happened. There was another time where he played in a game and he did what it was supposed to be. He's supposed to stop him with his foot. And this is like more than a year ago. And again, he was supposed to stop it, and he ended up kicking it in by accident.
So he had an own goal.
Yes. So, and then he tried to save it, and he thought he had saved it, but had already crossed the line. So yeah, that has happened. Now, thankfully, we've passed all of that. He's made his MLS next team for Cap City. And so he will be playing MLS next this part. He made it to the finals of Austin FC Academy. Did not make it, but he made it to round 4. So he's still one of the top goalkeepers in all Central Florida. So we have progressed, but there were some moments. Because real quick, the problem is for a field player catch. When they kick the ball 10 feet over the goal and that's their mistake, everyone's like, oh, next time, buddy, next time. But when a goalkeeper makes a mistake, it's like, I can't believe you did that. And
they're in the quarterback club, man.
Yeah, it's tough, but he's doing better, though.
I'm so glad I asked that question.
I have some good stories.
There has to be a video of the ball bouncing him. I can so clearly see how that could happen.
Yes,
I can, but it wouldn't change the fact that it had to be a horrifying set of like optical things that were occurring. All right, I'm good. I really am good. I'll be quiet now.
All right, we're good. Hey, guys, you are going to know the deal. You see Catch here back at noon. We got some things to discuss, and I'll have a show on Monday. Probably won't be live because it's a holiday, but more than likely it's going to be the Ari Wasserman interview. It's fantastic stuff as he predicts Texas is going to win a national championship. So subscribe to the channel just to make sure when that thing hits, you get the notification and you can watch it because it's going to be a fantastic interview.